Hey everybody in the vinyl community, howdy y'all, cheers. My name's Kevin, and I want to talk to you about my record collection, what's left of it anyway. And when I'm drinking a premium quality brewski like Miller Lite, I want to be sure that I'm drinking it out of a glass for maximum savoring quotient. I know that's good. And this is going to be a contest entry for Low Noise Jason Skilz, who has one of my favorite channels in the VC that I've discovered thus far. The purpose of it was for Jason to reach 300 subscribers, and I just checked the other day, he's already over 400, so right on, man. Keep doing what you're doing. The rules of the contest for Low Noise Jason Skilz are real simple, like 3 questions. Show a band that's a trio, a 3-piece band. Show a third release by an artist or band, and then show a triple record set, 3-record album. Well, to answer that last question first, there's only one album I could think of in my collection that is a 3-record set. This, of course, is the Clash Sandinista album, and it came with an insert that is the Armageddon Times number 3, and it's this fold-out lyric insert. So you got the lyrics and some kind of humorous, cartoonish illustrations. On the back, it's got all the 6 sides, so it's got the song titles there, and also it's on Columbia Records, but they did this cool, like, custom printed labels, so you know what sides you're listening to. And when I first heard it, for one thing, 6 sides is a lot of material for a kid maybe with a shorter attention span than what you'd need to get through a 3-record set and really absorb all the music. What I thought at the time was just like not very punk is actually like really brilliant, Yeah, it's punk. It's, in fact, shout out to Omaha Introvert, who recently did a couple videos of favorite albums from 1979 and 1980, and that got me thinking, well, what is my favorite album of 1980? So I went and sure enough, I looked on my best ever album chart. Now for 1980, I selected The Clash Sandinista as being my top #1 personal favorite album of 1980. Is it my favorite Clash album? No. That would have to go to their debut punk classic. I mean, the first Clash album is right up there with the Sex Pistols, the first Damned, the first couple Wire LPs. But I would even put Combat Rock, I think, above this one as far as like favorite Clash albums. But I'm gonna say that I like this even more than London Calling. I think that the creative, experimental side of the Clash just really blossomed on this album. So if it's been a while since you've heard Sandinista, I would say give it a try, give it another listen. It took me a while to come around to this album. At first I had dismissed it, and now it's, I think, one of my favorite Clash albums, and definitely my top #1 favorite album of 1980. So I'm going to show another record by a different band. That's their 3rd release, and that is Frankenchrist by the Dead Kennedys. And I'm not counting their In God We Trust 12-inch EP, because that's not a full-length album. But if you think of their first record is Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables, then they did Plastic Surgery Disasters, then Frankenchrist was their 3rd full-length album. It's got this nice custom printed inner sleeve with the lyrics. And not only that, but I've heard on some of those Vinyl Tag 2021, like the question is asked frequently, what's an original pressing, an OG pressing that you had to have? And for me, it's a no-brainer, because if you get the original pressing of the Dead Kennedys' Frankenchrist, you get this nasty penis landscape poster insert. I'm just going to flash that up there for you briefly. But this is the, I wouldn't hang this up on my wall because I don't want to look at it, but as a piece of history, you got to go with the original pressing because this poster insert was banned from later reissues of the album. The Dead Kennedys and Alternative Tentacles got into that legal battle with Tipper Gore and the PMRC. I think Two Live Crew was maybe involved in that court case. But because of the Frankenchrist album, henceforth, the outcome of that trial was that the Dead Kennedys got off, but bands from then on had to put that stupid parental advisory warning, explicit lyrics or explicit content, parental advisory label on album covers, which I think just became a marketing ploy anyway by the record labels who figured out that a kid's gonna want to probably buy a record all the more if they see that it's got foul language on it. Okay, sign me up. Or themes of obscenity or whatever. But yeah, because of that poster in the and I don't know what Jello Biafra really was thinking when he decided that had to be included by Swiss surrealist artist H.R. Giger. Something about our capitalist system, everybody's getting fucked over. I'll just throw this up there once again. Yuck. Who wants to see that? So yeah, Swiss surrealist artist H.R. Giger, you've seen some of his work with that Brain Salad Surgery album by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He did that blasphemous album covered by Celtic Frost, the Tomegatherian album. You've probably seen maybe his Necronomicon book. So yeah, that's who that guy is that the Dead Kennedys chose to do the poster insert for their Frankenchrist album. So this is the Dead Kennedys' Frankenchrist. This first track on side one, Soup is Good Food. There's a lot of great songs on this album. This could be anywhere, this could be everywhere. A Growing Boy Needs His Lunch, Chicken Farm, Stars and Stripes of Corruption, At My Job. There's some goofy tracks on here too, like Goons of Hazard, MTV Get Off the Air, I can get behind the sentiments there. Jocko-Rama, Invasion of the Beef Patrol. But yeah, after the trial, Jello Biafra, he did a couple spoken word albums in the late 80s, early 90s, where he goes into great detail about the proceedings of that court hearing with the lawsuit that was filed against the Dead Kennedys and Alternative Tentacles by the Parents Music Resource Center. So if you get a later reissue of the album, I think this is the only inner sleeve content you'll get, no poster. So OG pressing on that one for sure, if you can find one that still has the poster included. And okay, so that's Show a Record, that's the third release by a band. And then working my way backwards towards that first question, show a band that's a trio. Well, there was one band that came to mind immediately, and that is Agent Orange. And this is their first album, Living in Darkness. Still has the shrink wrap on it, original pressing on Posh Boy Records. It's got the silver, it's got a printed lyric insert, and it's on the silver label, Posh Boy Records out of Southern California. And let me take a swig here to quench my thirst, quench my dry throat. Excuse me if my voice is getting a little bit hoarse. So, right? So this is Agent Orange, and when I first heard this, I thought, okay, if this is hardcore punk, I can get behind this. It's got some catchy riffage. It's melodic. It's up tempo. It's got that really like just rockin' sound. I love these guys. I thought, okay, here's a hardcore punk band that has like a surf kind of vibe to it. And they did like Bitchin' Summer 12-inch EP that was just like more of like straight up surf kind of music. But the thing is, when I hear this now, to me this just sounds like, you know, guitar-driven surf rock with punk edge, whereas before I think I incorrectly figured like, oh, this is hardcore punk, which I don't hear this as hardcore punk at all anymore. But if you see the distinction that I'm making there, it's like, no, pretty much straight up kick-ass rock and roll. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of punk elements to it, but really it's kind of like surf rock, guitar rock. It's kind of poppy. Maybe it's pop punk. I guess you could call it maybe like pop punk before that genre totally sucked. So anyway, I'm gonna take another sip here. I know it's a time-honored tradition in the vinyl community to drink beer while you're making videos. So, beer and punk rock music. What kind of better pairing is there than that? But I digress. So, Agent Orange, Living in Darkness. This record is cool and everything, but it got me thinking, like, well, there's got to be another band, at least in my collection, that's a three-piece trio. And it took me a moment to think of it, and I was like, yes, of course, the Melvins, Bluey Porch Treatments, their first full-length album on Alchemy Records. This is original pressing. There's no lyric sheet, or what good would that do you for a Melvins album, right? But it's just your standard black vinyl. It's Alchemy Records. They always did that custom or custom label that has like the weird beakers and lab equipment. Interesting label out of San Francisco, I believe. Yeah. They did some early kind of proto-stoner rock type of kind of stoner metal. Like they did have some maybe hardcore records, but yeah, they did that that one Rich Kids on LSD album, Rock and Roll Nightmare. But for a three-piece, I thought, well, okay, I'll show Agent Orange, but really this is the one I'm going to go with. It's got that classic lineup with Matt Lukin, who would later go on to Mudhoney a short while after this. You got Buzz Osborne and Dale Crover, who have been the core of the Melvins since its inception. And there's always been that bassist, rotating bass player on all their records. Like after this one, they had, what was her name? Lori Black. I think they called her Lorax, and was the daughter of Shirley Temple or something like that. And then the guy who was the owner-operator of Alchemy Records, Mark Dutram, he was their bass player, Melvin's bass player on Stoner Witch and maybe Stag and a couple others after Joe Preston. So yeah, Melvins are one of my all-time favorite bands, and I have to say that when I had a modest record collection in high school and college, and then ended up having to, you know, needed cash or whatever at a time when I thought I can part with these records, I don't need them anymore. They were fun for a while, but I'm just going to sell these records. And I got rid of most of my collection, but this is one. There was maybe about a couple dozen albums that I just felt like I couldn't part with. And this Melvins album is one that I never had to purchase again because I kept the first one that I got. This is the only copy I've had, and I got it in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the late 80s. This record's from 1986. I think it was probably around 1988 or so when I bought it at Atomic Records in Milwaukee. I'm pretty sure that store doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, so once I thought about, okay, Agent Orange is a trio, the Melvins are a trio, there's got to be some other like bands in my record collection that are three-piece bands. So I went through the whole thing here. I don't have many records left now anymore, but what I was able to do is put aside about 30 other records that I can show that are three-piece bands that I'm going to save for sort of a part 2 or after party kind of video for an extension of this video, talking about trios, bands that are in my vinyl collection that are three-piece bands. But for the purpose of just keeping this short and concise for the contest entry, I'm going to end this here, and then if you want to check out another video that I'm going to do for trios, I also want to do a proper introductory video after this. So thanks for watching. You know the drill. Subscribe if you feel inspired to, and if you think maybe I've got something worthwhile to share with the VC, then I'll catch you next time. Smell you later.